My name is Kitty and today we're doing all things zombie apocalypse. So, today we're going to be working under the premise that if you look like a zombie, the zombies won't eat you. So this lesson is on zombie camouflage. First thing I did, of course, was pull my hair back because the makeup I'm going to be doing is going to go up into my hair. And I don't want it all up in my face. So, supplies you need. Face paint. This is clearly one of our camp face paint palettes. You can also use makeup. You just kind of need specific shades. So we'll go over those here in just a second. Clearly our face paint has seen better days, but it still has enough of the colors that I need. I also have a mug of water, a fancy Girl Scout mug, right? And some paper towels. As well as I use two different things to put the paint on my face or put the makeup on my face, right? Brushes. These are just paint brushes that I have. We use specifically for face paint. And then I like cotton rounds for doing big areas, for doing a lot of blending. You can, of course, use your brushes, but I feel like this gets more of an area with less. It just looks better on my end. I don't know how to explain it. We'll see how that goes. All right. I also have a package of wipes, just in case of mistakes. It's always good to have something that you can wipe with. I start with a clean slate. All right. So this one we're gonna do a zombie bite. So that's always how we start. Whenever you get bitten, you usually get a bruise. So we're gonna start out with a bruise. Bruises tend to be brown, yellow, green, purple. So those are kind of the color scheme we're gonna go with. Again, I usually start with cotton swabs. So I'm gonna just dip it in the water here. And I'm gonna start out with kind of like the yellow-green color. This one, just because if you ever get see a bruise, it's got that nice like icky nasty green color on the edges. At least on my skin it does, because my skin is really light. Depending on what color your skin is will depend what your bruises look like. If you have a bruise, you can always look at that and copy it. I don't think I actually have any at the moment, which is magical. That never happens, right? So I decided I'm getting bit on my arm. You can decide you get bit wherever you choose. I do my arm because it's easiest for me to see and for me to look at and deal with later. So what we're kind of doing today is kind of considered like a stage makeup, right? You don't want the zombies to get too close, so you want it to look convincing from far away. When you look at it up close, you're gonna see it looks pretty fake. Like you're gonna be able to tell a little bit more that it's not real. But as your friend or your parent or whoever you're quarantining with walks by, they should be fairly convinced that you got eaten. So what I've done with my cotton swab is I've just gone ahead and done a weird layer. I just kind of dabbed on the green, kind of mixed it, blended it, so that I've got like a nice large area. It also tends to go a little yellow on the outside. I'm just gonna grab some yellow. Just kind of dab that around the outside and kind of blend it in. Right? Right? Because the yellow is gonna blend into my skin a lot better. And it does on most skin tones. But either which way, your bruises tend to be lighter towards the outside as they go back into your regular skin color, right? Because a bruise is a pool of blood. And it's pooled in a specific area, and then of course as it goes outward you get back to your normal skin tone, right? So I've just kind of got some yellow so that it kind of doesn't look like it's just a big patch of green gross growing on my arm, right? I forgot to mention the one thing I do have under the desk is my trash can. It's nice and easy just to be able to throw them straight into the trash. We are not getting makeup all over the table because it does get everywhere, right? So the next color I'm going to do is I'm going to start working towards the inside of my bruise, and the way that's going to work is actually I'm going to use this weird red purple color. Looks kind of like that. Right, and I just kind of want to dab that one on. So it's adding some texture, which is nice, and it doesn't look like brush strokes, which is again I think why I like these, because it doesn't look like a paintbrush. It looks like a little more natural, I think. Right, so kind of giving myself a little bit darker of a center. I'm also going to use a light brown to again give that kind of like darker center. And at the moment I'm just keeping it really light and blended because I want to make sure that it doesn't look super fakey, right? So that way it's not looking super wacky. All right, so it's kind of looking a little better. I need it to be definitely darker at the center though. So again, I'm going to go back in with that purple color now that I've done some brown and actually really go in with it this time. So this time it's like hardcore going in, right? So I've got a little bit more, and again, I'm making sure that I'm dabbing and just blending in the edges so that it doesn't just kind of look like I painted it on. It just kind of gives it a little more realistic vibe. So now it looks like I've got some sort of weird skin disease. Who knows? Maybe the zombie that bit you had a weird skin disease. I'm also going to do just some more dark brown in that center. Again, I'm just dabbing. It just makes it a little more dark, icky, nasty looking color. When you get a really bad bruise, they say that it goes black and blue. I don't like using black too hard because once you put it on, it's on and it doesn't come off and it doesn't mix very well with other colors. So I use it very sparingly. But if you need that center color to be darker, again, I just kind of dabbed it on. You saw I wiped a lot of it on my hand first, just so that I wasn't getting too much, right? Because when you first pull it up off the paint, you're getting a lot of black. So I just kind of wiped most of it on my hand. So now I'm just getting a little bit, right? Not getting as like hardcore, right? And then of course, black and blue wouldn't be black and blue without a little bit of blue. Again, I don't want it to be like Crayola blue because your skin doesn't turn that color naturally. So I'm wiping a lot of it on my hand. You could also do it on a paper towel, but this is the easiest way I figured it out. And it just kind of blends in. So now, after all that dabbing and all the water, it looks pretty gnarly. Like I've injured myself pretty good. And it's not too solid edges, which is nice. Everything's kind of pulled out. So if you don't like the paint on your hands, you can always grab a wipe it off. That black that we have kind of stains, so you'll see it's also why I don't like using it terribly much, because it does stain pretty badly. So I'm gonna just wipe that off, because that way I have another work surface, because I'm gonna put more paint on it, let's be real. All right, so to add bite marks, I'm going to use a brush. I usually use like a squared brush, or like, this one is nice, it's really flat, it's got that round edge. It's a pretty decent size. Whoop. The other one that I usually use is this one. Again, it's that nice flat brush. It's not as nicely rounded, so I don't use it as often. But like, your teeth are all different sizes. So when you bite, your teeth marks are different sizes. But basically what you're getting is a nice like line, right? I don't suggest biting yourself, but it is helpful to see how your teeth look. Because this bite mark pierced your skin, in order to become a zombie, you have to have some sort of transfer, right? Again, it's a bloodborne pathogen. It's a virus. It goes into your bloodstream. You want the bite to have gone down far enough for you to bleed. So in order to make it look realistic, we're gonna go ahead and do this part in a dark red and brown. I usually start with a dark brown, actually. Just because the red looks kind of like brill red, right? Like Crayola red, which isn't super helpful. I'm gonna go ahead and give myself teeth marks. I did not put enough water on that. There we go. Right. Right. And you can kind of smudge upward as if they like bit down and close their mouth. And on the bottom, I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna give myself those lines and then smudge. So that doesn't look super realistic, because right now what I'm doing is basically giving myself a pattern or a place I want to go with it. So now I'm just taking some water, just water, and kind of smearing those out so they don't look as like makeup-y, I guess is the best way to describe it in my head. And I use my finger to kind of control the smudge and control the smear and decide where I want that to go. Just kind of makes them a little lighter. Oh, this is hard to do with my arm held up, so bear with me. This is not super interesting. I've got my arm down and you can't really quite see. For that, I apologize. I've made a mess. Paper towel out real quick because I put too much water, so it ran all over the place. So you gotta kind of be careful. Again, I usually wipe excess water on my hand or on a paper towel next to me. So I'm just putting some excess water on there and then smearing up and then kind of tapping, because again, this motion is gonna blend it in better than if I just use the brush, because then it looks like brush strokes. Right? So dabbing at it and tapping at it is gonna make it look cooler and a little more realistic. Right, so those look a little more realistic on top than the ones on the bottom do. So again, I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the bottom. Right, and I'm just going to tap along so that all gets blended in nicely. The next thing I'm going to go in, again, is with that Crayola red. I want to be really careful with it, because if I use it too much, it's going to look funky and I'm going to look like it's cartoony and not like someone injured me, right? So I'm going to start first things first. So very lightly over that brown. So what it's doing is it's darkening the red, because this red by itself is like, it's like lipstick red, right? So it's not super great, realistic-y, bloody grossness. That way I'm getting a lot darker color, which is nice. Again, sorry, this is hard to do with my arm though. I'm gonna just quickly put my arm down on you guys. Sorry. Again, all I'm doing is the same thing. I'm just overlaying the red on top of the brown spots and then kind of mixing in. Right, so now it's looking a little more like I got bit. The one part that I do want to use the Crayola red now is I kind of want to just give myself the teeth marks. Now that I've made that blood smear that much like better, right? Because that shows where the teeth have broken skin. So now that I've got that, I'm gonna go ahead and start adding more red, right? So that it looks like I'm bleeding. Oops. Oh well, I guess I'm bleeding there too. My bad. So in doing that, you'll see that I've lost a lot of the dark that was in the center of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of add a little more of that purple color. And I can always add a little more black as well. Just to the middle, and it makes it look a little more ominous, a little more like I've been eaten, right? But again, make sure that you blend. All right, so this is how I'm leaving this at the moment. If you are into it, as most of my campers usually are, you can add, actually I'm going to, the blood drips. The way to do that with the face paint is to get it super duper wet. You're gonna put it where you want it and really add water and let it drip, right? It doesn't have to be every teeth mark. It doesn't have to be any teeth marks. It's up to you how much you do and how into it you get. Now I'm like really bleeding, right? You can change the direction by changing the direction of your arm, right? So that has bled pretty nice, right? So I'm gonna get it to stop by just very gently catching the drips off the bottom so that it's not gonna drip on my pants. I don't really want red stains on my pants today. So yeah, so that's my zombie bite. Looking fairly decent, pretty decently scary, right? So check back in. We're gonna do full face now.